Good morning. Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. The weather has just turned off beautifully. I was able to dig the cardigan back out again. It's cool this morning. It's been raining, which we needed desperately. And so everybody's just really happy and cheerful around here this morning. So I want to do a video. I want to do a video on handguns on horseback. Now, Dwayne, why do you want to do that video? Just because it's a subject I like and just because I want to, okay? If you get an idea, if you get your view of what cowboying used to be like from Hollywood, from Westerns and stuff, you'll get a misconception that everybody carried pistols. All the cowboys carried pistols all the time and they were quick on the draw. And that's actually not accurate. Your working cowboys, sometimes they had a pistol, sometimes they didn't. Sometimes it was in their saddlebag. Sometimes it was in their bedroll if they were out on the trail and they didn't carry it. Some did, some didn't. A lot of them didn't because handguns, pistols were expensive even back in the day, and cowboys were poor. And it was, they weren't always able to come by them. But a lot of them did. And today, people who are getting into cowboying out west, whether it be working on a ranch, working on a dude ranch, packing and wrangling up in the mountains, it's a question that comes up a lot. What about carrying a pistol? Should I carry a pistol? What kind of pistol should I carry? Should I not? Do they not do that in this day and age? So we're just going to look at some of the information about it, some of the things, but as with a lot of other things, the choice is yours. You have to determine what's right for you and what's not. Now, I don't work on the cattle ranch. I've worked on a number of cattle ranches. I don't now. I ride, of course. And do I carry a pistol when I ride? I do. And so, Dwayne, what do you carry a pistol for? Well, usually it's for trouble. Now, sometimes that trouble is two-legged, and sometimes it's four-legged. Sometimes you have to, and it's not always just defense from predators, although that's a part of it. Sometimes you have to put a mortally wounded animal down, be it a cow or a horse. But mostly people consider for predators, whether they're two-legged or four-legged. And as I have said in a video I did a long time ago, two-legged predators in a lot of parts of the country and wild dogs. You don't have to worry about mountain lions so much or bears or whatever. But people will abandon dogs that get too much to handle, and these dogs will meet up with other abandoned dogs, and they'll become a pack of wild dogs. We had a neighbor a few years ago in Kentucky, got pulled down and killed by one of these packs of wild dogs in Kentucky. He wasn't in Alaska. He wasn't in Montana. He didn't get attacked by a charging grizzly bear. He got pulled down and killed by a pack of dogs that had gone wild. And then there's people. There's always people. Our country today, our society today, people think it's not as safe as it used to be, and it's not. But anyhow, you need to be prepared. But the thing is, people who don't have the background, they don't know where to start. Now, I had a young man who I knew. He had been a part of the school and part of things. Had gotten a job last year for a elk hunting outfit. He was going to be packing in the mountains. And so I was talking to him on the phone, and he was asking, so we were talking about a pistol for him to carry up there. And he was going to borrow his dad's Ruger new model Super Black Hawk 44 Magnum with a 7.5-inch barrel, if I remember correctly. And I said, no, you will hate yourself. And he's a good guy, but he's not a great big giant guy. He's not my size or anything. I said, you don't want to do that. Don't do that. And because they're heavy. And after going out a couple of times, you'll wind up just leaving it back at the bunkhouse. You won't carry it. It's too heavy. And so I just want to give some tips and some ideas. Now, when I ride around here, I carry a short-barreled 1911. This is a Springfield TRP and 45 ACP. Now, it's empty. I emptied it. You'll notice, and people always comment on that, if you can see it in the video right there. Let me see if I can. Okay, the hammer's back and the safety is up. Now, do some study on this, but that's the only proper, safe way to carry a 1911. It's called cocked and locked, or condition 1. And that's how I carry it. But this is what I carry in a standard leather holster when I'm just riding around here most times. It's the same gun I carry to town. It's the same gun I carry grocery shopping, to Walmart, or going into Big R or wherever. It's the same gun. So I'm very familiar with it, very comfortable with it. And anything in this country that I'm going to face out there, I'm very comfortable and very confident with this. Now, one of the points about that is, Dwayne, what is the best gun to carry out there? It's the best gun to carry out there is the gun that you shoot the best. It's the best gun for you to carry is not necessarily the best gun for me to carry. Now I'm gonna, oh my goodness, my chair's going to dump me out and buck me off. I'm gonna go ahead and pull my holster off. I should have done that beforehand and show you the holster that I carry up there. So I carry this holster. This is a holster that I carry this in all the time. Now this holster, I ordered it online. It is a Busted Bee. I like this holster. It had the belt loops. It has the one belt loop out the back and then the one in the center. Now I used to carry what was called a pancake style holster. Here's my other 1911. We'll address that in a minute. But a pancake style holster has the 2 tabs, front and back. Now, this is very effective. This pulls in the holster in close to the body, keeps contact. It's very good. The reason I stopped carrying a pancake holster like this is because it takes up too much real estate on my side. This is a lot of area. And then when you add a knife, because you're always going to carry a knife in the backcountry, and you add a knife and you add magazine holder, magazine carrier, it takes up too much room on the side. So myself personally, I started carrying that other. Now, someone will ask, Dwayne, what about retention? Okay. This one's got the retention screw down here so I can tighten it on it. And some people, they prefer a tab over, and that's fine. I've just found over the years, I don't prefer that. When this is pulled in tight against my body and that's tensioned down properly, I don't worry about losing it. So this is the pistol that I carry most of the time. Now, what ammunition do I carry? Normally, I just carry Hornady Critical Defense. Like I said, out there, anything that I run into in this country, it'll take care of. And anything I run into in town, it'll take care of. It'll take care of whatever I need. You need to be aware that whatever caliber you're shooting is only as good as the ammunition that you're using. Okay? If you have the proper pistol, the proper type handgun, and you have the proper caliber, but you're using improper ammunition, then you've just cut your effectiveness way down. So we'll address that here. There it is. Okay. So now this 1911, this is a full-size 5-inch 1911. And this is a Kimber. And so sometimes if I'm a little bit less confident about what I'm going to face out there, I'll carry that. And then in my magazine pouch, I've got a magazine of buffalo bore. These are buffalo bore hard cast, and they're plus P's, and they hit really, really hard. So for a 1911, anything up to a grizzly bear, so you can adjust your ammunition to meet what you're going to be dealing with. You don't want to shoot those plus P hard cast in just anything. I won't shoot them. I won't carry them in that little Springfield. The Springfield would hold up. I'm not worried about that. But the recoil will be brutal. And so you can carry a 1911. You can carry a semi-auto as long as it's dependable and as long as you are effective with it. And they're a really good choice in my opinion. Number one, they're safe. A 1911 has 3 safeties. Okay, this one's been cleared. 1911 has 3 safeties, all right? No, number 1 safety is your finger. If it's not in there pulling the trigger, it's not going to go off. All right, the second safety is, this is not a ambidextrous. All right, there's this safety here. Until you flick that down, it's not going to fire. And then it's got a third safety here, the beaver tail, if you can see that right there. If your hand is not deliberately all the way in there and pushing that beaver tail in, it's not going to fire, all right? But when you get handy with it, it's incredibly fast to engage, but you're not near so likely to engage accidentally. And they've been around, and they've just been proven, all right? Now, if you're a semi-auto guy and you're not a 1911 guy, I have a Glock 20 SF here. I don't carry it. I don't care for it. I got it in trade a few years ago on an automobile trade. But this is a 10 millimeter. And from the time when I first went to Alaska in 85 or 86, the 10 millimeter, and especially in the Glock, has swiftly overtaken the 44 mag as the most popular bear backup gun up there. My wife and I knew a lady years ago. She was a friend of ours. She's a camp cook for these elk hunting outfits, and she's not a big gal. She's a little gal, and she carried a Glock 10 millimeter. The dogs are wrestling. Did you hear that? She carried a Glock 10 millimeter as her camp gun because she could handle it, and it's definitely effective on bears. And then people, so they want to go to the, they want to ask about revolvers. Now, when I'm in a situation where I feel like the 45 ACP may not be up to snuff, like when I'm going into a country that's known to have a lot of big bears, I'll go to the 44 Magnum. Now, there are very few people that should go above the 44 Magnum because when you start getting up into 454 Casuls, 460s, 480s, recoil gets to be an issue. Recoil can be an issue with the 44 Magnum. But it gets to be an issue, and if you can't handle your gun confidently and you can't handle it accurately, then the round, the size of the caliber, and the power in it doesn't matter. This is the Ruger new model Super Blackhawk, but it's the Lipsys model. It's got the shorter barrel, the Bisley grip, Bisley hammer, and I really like it. What I like about the 44 Magnum is when I'm down here and I decide to carry it, I can load it with 44 specials, and it really brings it down. I'm not shooting through 9 walls and a refrigerator next door. And the recoil's just a pop. But if I need to, I can really load it up. So in this one right now, I've got the hard cast. This is HSM Hunting Shack of Montana hardcast bear load, so I can really load it up. The holster that I carry, it's a really slim, it's a cross draw holster, okay? And so I carry it on my left side because I carry this mostly if I'm on horseback in bigger apex predator country. If I'm on horseback, I'll carry, especially my revolvers that stick out more, I'll carry them cross draw on my left side so they're not getting in the way of any lead rope, pack string, whatever I'm doing over here. And so, but I'll carry that. And you can, you know, reloads, you carry a single or a double magazine carrier for your semi-autos. Or there's different ways to carry. I have this right here, which holds spare 44 mag shells on my belt. And so I've got those if I need them. Single actions are very accurate. They're very powerful. And if you're in a charging bear situation, reloading's not really going to be an issue if you don't get them within the first cylinder. It doesn't really matter anymore, but you always want some extras. And so it's easy to do that. Now, people, especially young people, I have found, they get into the romance of it, and they get into the dream of it, and they get into the cool of it. And if they get a chance, they'll start going with the big revolvers. Again, I don't recommend it. Not for carrying for backup bear country. Now, when you get into well, any handgun, there's a balance. This is a BFR, and it comes from their custom, and it's been customized. It's a 44 Magnum, and it's a beautiful shooting gun. But this rascal's heavy. And this gun was designed for handgun hunting. Was not really designed for bear backup. It's only got a 5-shot cylinder because they kept a lot of beef, a lot of metal in that cylinder, so they only has 5 shots in order that you can hand load up just pretty much as hot as you want. And the pistol's just, it's like a bank vault. It's not going to blow up on you. But it's not what I would recommend that you put in a holster and put on your belt and go riding up in the mountain for a long time. Unless you're a great big guy. Unless you're a really great big guy. But, you know, I'm 190 pounds and maybe I'm getting feeble in my old age. But, man, this thing is miserable for me to carry in a holster on the belt. Now, there are other options. And this is a Diamond D leather Guide's Choice holster. Now, this holster is a chest holster. Okay, so it carries up here, and you can carry that a whole lot better. All right, and you can go over your neck. You can look all that up. You know, you can find these, and they have videos on there. So it's another option if you're hunting in the backcountry and you want a big handgun. You know, this is an option. But on the hips, trying to look like Wyatt Earp, you know, it's just not practical. And then, you know, there's always the Ruger new model Super Blackhawk 7.5 inch. This one is an original unmodified 3-screw and with Elkhorn grips. Beautiful gun and smooth, one of the smoothest action handguns I've ever used. But again, it can be a handful on the hip, and it's kind of too beautiful and too valuable these days to just go up there and beat around in the brush. But these, you can get Ruger Super Blackhawks, you know, that are newer, that are not as special as these old 3-screws. And they don't weigh as much as your custom, like your BFRs, and they're efficient, but it's a big old long barrel, and they are still heavy. And so it's just, if what you're carrying gets so uncomfortable that just on a whim you walk on to leave it and you don't carry it, then it's not doing you any good. When you're picking your handgun for whatever purpose, all right, there's 2 factors, and you have to find your balance in the middle between those 2 factors, all right? There's shootability and there's carryability, all right? And the more carryable a pistol is, usually the less shootable it is. All right, now what do I mean by that? Well, let's take these 2 44s. This, for a 44 pistol, this pistol is very carryable. Got the short barrel, and it's just the Bisley grip comes down. This pistol is very carryable. But with that short barrel, the recoil is maximized, okay? It has more recoil. So the more carryable it is, you're sacrificing shootability. Now, I had, just on a side note, I had a Freedom Arms Model 83. Any of you gun guys out there, you know what I'm talking about. In a 454 Casull with, it was called their Packer model, it had like a 2.5 inch barrel. It did not have an ejector rod. You pulled the pin out to eject if they got stuck. It was super short. 454 Casull. That thing was beautiful to carry. It was wonderful to carry. It was the most brutal, unshootable handgun I have ever had. So every sacrifice that was made to make it more carryable made it less shootable. Okay? So if you are comfortable and you're very accurate and you're very capable with a 357 Magnum, you would be better off carrying that than you would something that you find less shootable. Okay? Now in the mountains around here, 357 Magnum with the right ammunition would be fine. I wouldn't carry it in Alaska. Some people do. That's them. That's fine. I wouldn't. But out here in Wyoming, we're not in grizzly country. And, you know, in the bighorns around here, not grizzly country. And so if you carried one and you're very comfortable with it and you're accurate with it, then that's what I would carry. But carrying a handgun, well, let's continue on with our thought of the balance between shootability and carryability. This gun is much easier to shoot with the exact same ammunition than that little short Ruger. All right, it's got the longer barrel, it's much heavier, it's much beefier, so it's more shootable. But that shootability comes with a sacrifice of carryability. So you have to find your balance in the middle. Where does shootability and carryability, where is your line on that scale, okay? And it has to be yours. It can't be somebody else's. Because if you're in Alaska and you're carrying a little Bearcat 22 for bear protection because it's super carryable, it's super comfortable and super easy to shoot, you're going to sacrifice its effectiveness in a dangerous situation. All right. And that's an extreme. But if you go to something that's, you know, a 500 Smith & Wesson with an 8.5 inch barrel or whatever they're coming out with, and you're like, man, that thing is so heavy. It's so awkward getting in and out of the boat to go fishing or getting on and off the horse, riding to the woods. The recoil is so brutal. I think I don't even want to deal with that today, and you leave it at camp. Then it's not effective. Okay. But you have to find that place for you. And so, and the other side of this is, so here's one of those guide's choice for that little short Ruger. These are great holsters, all right? Especially if you're backpacking or on horseback. It's got your pistol always up here, so it's always accessible regardless. Quality holster, all right? Quality holster. Why do people go spend $1,200 on a gun, $900, $700, and then spend $30 on a holster? Okay, it's not wise. It's not reasonable. It's not logical, and it's not effective. Okay, and the first holster you buy probably isn't going to be the one that you need if you're just starting out. All right. You'll probably buy a holster and carry it around for a bit and say, man, this is not comfortable, or man, I can't get to it, or with my setup, this isn't working. And you'll probably have to get another one, all right? You may have to get 3 or 4 before you find the one that really works for you. But you need a quality holster that is secure, but that rides good and rides secure, and you need a good heavy belt, okay? Now, the question is going to be, Dwayne, what about cartridge belts? I've stopped wearing cartridge belts when I'm horseback in the mountains because it's a lot of extra weight. I don't need 20 cartridges in a belt around my carrying that weight. I don't need that. All right. I can have the cartridge slide on my belt, and I can have the pistols loaded, and the pistol is just an emergency situation. So in an emergency, I've got all the ammunition that I need. Okay, we're not fighting terrorists here. We're not in Beirut. Okay, if we're going to have a different loadout, if we think that's what we're going to find. All right, this is enough. And then I'll have a box of ammunition on the pack mule, or in my saddlebags, depending on the situation. So then later, when things are calmed down, if I need to reload, I'm not going to wind up out there without ammunition. But I'm not chasing banditos down on the Mexican border. I don't need to have crisscross bandoliers across my chest, and I don't need all these cartridge belts around me. It works better for me to have a good, clean, slim holster on my pants belt, and I've got a nice heavy pants belt, heavy leather, doubled leather, and then stitched, so everything is secure, stable, much more easy, much more comfortable to carry. So I have that on my belt, and to have this and a cartridge slide, or a 1911 with a mag pouch, and then I can reload later if I need more than that. And the thing about a double mag pouch, this magazine has the same, Hornady critical defense, all right? Or if I need to, I can pull this one out, and I've got the hard cast bear loads. And if I'm carrying the short pistol, the hard cast bear loads, I can definitely shoot them through that. I just don't want to if I don't have to, okay? So it's practicality, all right? Now, Dwayne, if I get a job wrangling dudes on a dude ranch in bear country, should I carry a pistol? Can I carry a pistol? Well, that is going to be mostly up to your employers. And if you're a young person, the answer is 99% of the time it's going to be no for liability. And I fully understand it. I don't blame them. All right. When I was guiding in Alaska for about 5 years, I carried a 44 Magnum all the time. I was mature. I had been around, and we were in heavy bear country. And so the boss said, yeah, go ahead and carry. And so it depends on where you're at. It depends on who you're working for. It depends on who you are. A lot of wrangling outfits, a lot of elk hunting outfits have concessions. Their permits are in one form or another of a government land, and they have their own rules and stipulations on that. So there's no hard and fast. Dwayne, what if I get a job on a ranch? You're not going to be carrying a pistol. All right. That is just not practical for that kind of work, and it's not necessary most of the time. Now, when we were gathering and pushing cattle in Taylor Park out of Gunnison, some of us that were riding had pistols. Some of the guys had them in their saddlebag. And what we had pistols for, we had like 600 head of cattle in one herd that we were pushing. And all these guys, they had cattle dogs. And in the middle of the day, with this we were watching them, man, with this huge herd of cattle and all these riders and everything, the coyotes were coming in the middle of all that and luring the cattle dogs off. And so some of the guys, they had pistols in their saddlebag to protect their dogs from the coyotes, just stuff like that, okay? But it's a situation. It's a situation deal, and you have to determine if your situation warrants it, and if you are up to what your situation warrants. And that's a big part of it right there, okay? But this is just some options, and these are definitely not the only options. These are just what I carry. Double action pistols are of course, they're excellent. They're fine. Within the same criteria, proper caliber, your proper ability, and you need to practice. If you're not shooting, you're not going to be effective. Okay. But you get you know, if you've got a Ruger SP 101 3-inch 357, there's not much here in the lower 48 that you can't take care of with that. And they're very easy to shoot. Very beefy. I've had 2 of them. You know, your Smiths 629s, you know, your whatever you're comfortable with, your Anacondas and your Pythons and stuff like that, you know, whatever works for you. Double action, your Red Hawks, Super Red Hawks, Ruger Alaskans, you know, there's tons of options. And so you just got to find the option that works best for you after you determine if this is a situation that you have requirements for. Okay? So anyhow, I'm going to stop right there. I wanted to do a video today on a subject that I enjoy, and also on a subject that I'm not going to get a lot of pushback and grief for. Sometimes I just get tired of that nonsense. Okay? But I hope this helps you. This is, after all, a Wrangler school. People watch these videos and they come out to classes here to learn to go into wrangling and go into packing, and this is something that, you know, you need to be aware of. And don't take everything I taught here as this is the only option, but this may be enough to get you started in your research down the road. And ask the guys that are working up there what they carry. You know, find packers and say, do you carry? What do you carry? Why do you carry that? I'll also add another little note. My son, Jesse, you guys have met him. He's done a couple videos on here, and he was packing for an elk hunting outfit up through last year. He had a little single action 22 that he carried in camp. He didn't carry it up on the mountains, but he carried it in camp down at the lodge because they had a ton of rattlesnakes. So his situation, his firearm, was adjusted to fit his current situation. And also, you know, to take like spruce hens for supper and things like that. And so it's not all the biggest caliber you can handle and the biggest that you can carry. Sometimes that's not what the situation calls for. But this requires research and study and thought and experience on your part. All right? So anyhow, hope it helps you a little bit. I hope you enjoyed it a little bit. And we'll catch you guys next time.